Hey, you guys, welcome back. We are in my yard again, and this is going to be a home garden tour of my side yard. So I'm really, really thrilled to show you this one because this is a new renovation that we just did, and I think it turned out so well. So if you guys have one of those side yards that it's a narrow space, maybe not a lot of light, real difficult to deal with, maybe it's on the foundation of your house or like on the side of your house, so you can't plant anything too close to it, but you still kind of want it to have that impact that the rest of your yard has, then stick around because this video is for you. First, I'm going to apologize for my voice. I am struggling this week. I had wisdom teeth pulled earlier in the week, and then I'm fighting with losing my voice on this cold, but I have my son Bryce, who is here with me for a few days from college, and he is gracious enough to do these videos for me, so we thought we'd bang out a few videos together. And I do what every mother does. As soon as their kid comes home, I put them right to work, and so we're doing this together, and my voice is just not cooperating, but he's so gracious to just kind of walk through these video tours with us, and that way I can share all the fun stuff and I don't have to worry about the camera, because I know you guys have probably seen my camera work. Not the best. So, and I think that this area deserved quite a bit of attention. So I guess we'll jump right in. So this is my side yard space. There's not a lot to it, and I know we did a video on my side yard garden about 1.5 years ago or so, and this area has stayed the same. This area has done superbly. I'm so very, very happy with it. We redid this a few years back. We put in these 5 Areca palms. They've really grown, really given us that blockage. We have a neighbor just on the other side of that, and so we really definitely wanted to create a pretty significant buffer. But I just had this thing with walled spaces. I love to create walls with palms and trees and really kind of give you that courtyard feel. I don't know, I think there's just such charm to that. Maybe it's that that New Orleans charm, or that bit of Charleston that I love, that they create courtyards within every space. But I love the idea of having each area has its own vista. We're going in from a big wide open area of my front yard, then it narrows nice and tidy down and kind of romantic and intimate along the side yard, and then again opens up to more of our entertaining space in our backyard. And I just find that charming. And it's the same with the botanical gardens, those little pathways that you wind through. You hear the sound of water, you hear a little bit of interest of this or that fragrant smell, whatever the senses are, it kind of draws you through into that next space. But sometimes it's those little spaces that get overlooked that end up being the most magical. So I'm hoping this space does that for me. And we were able to, in this little area, so we're looking at 5.5 to 6 foot deep as far as how much work or how much area we had to work with, and it goes about 32 foot long. So it's not a big space, you guys. It really isn't. And so we try to capitalize on what we can put in this little narrow space and not put everything right up against the house. So we were able to incorporate a little seating section. I know you guys got a sneak peek of this area just a few moments ago, but a seating section, an 8x8 living wall, a triple basalt water feature, and then some additional plantings. But I'll kind of go through those things individually for you, so that way you can see it. Now, the living wall is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the living walls that you've seen on YouTube, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But it's overall just for ease of maintenance on me. So starting here, this is of course my front yard section, my front yard patio area where my pond is. You can hear that sound of waterfall, that sound of water over there, and I wanted to carry that through into my side yard section. It starts with this cool gate, and then this gate is something that was a simple purchase off of Marketplace. It was a coffee shop that went out of business during COVID, and I had no need for the gate at the time, but I just I just loved it. I knew it was going to be a cool feature to add to some part of our garden, so it ended up here. My husband put up some woodwork to support this big, giant, heavy gate, and we're going to doll this up a little bit with some more ornate detail on the woodwork, but budgets, how budgets work, it's tough for all of us. So but over time, that's my plan, to kind of create more of an arbor and more of a feel here. So I cannot wait for that to happen, because the gate really calls for some of that. Maybe it's me that calls for it, but because my husband would be done if he could. And then I found this really cool hanging basket. I found it at the Garden Fest, this most recent Garden Fest this past February, and I loved it. I thought it would really show up nice. Again, it has that charm and that feel of a little bit of that old world for me, so I put it up against the very modern black backing, and I just think it goes so well together. I was fortunate enough to score this cool concrete bench from Peggy. Peggy was one of my clients who found me on YouTube, and last year she gave me this bench because she just didn't have a place for it in the garden, and she's like, take it. I hope you can find a home for it. And I am so glad I did, because it's going to have a whole new life here. It's going to be perfect for this spot. Those of you guys who are trying to determine to put a bench or any kind of seating section or a bistro set or whatnot out in your garden, go ahead and do it. I know, I know a lot of people say it's just for looks. I absolutely sit here all the time. I will, trim or weed or fertilize or whatever, and I will plop right down here for a few minutes to collect my thoughts, or sometimes I'll actually do my planting and move everything over into this area. So this has been a very useful thing, and I'd like to point that out to my husband, because when they carried it, him and one of our guys carried it over here, it's so darn heavy, and they're like, why are you putting this here? I guarantee you're not going to use it. So this evidence, I might even post pictures, but I do use that all the time. To the back, I've got some aglaonema back there. And I've also got, of course, farfugium, because I absolutely love farfugium. They're going to be a fantastic plant grouping all the way around the bench. It's a tight little corner there, so I cannot wait for those farfugium to kind of come fold over and give us that big lily pad leaf. They're going to come in right into this range and then completely encircle the bench. And I just, it's just so Alice in Wonderland. I think that's going to be so cool. I love their big lily pad leaf. And then I don't want to miss out on these cool planters. So these are 2 wrought iron planters. I felt like the hanging wall needed a little bit of support and some impact, so I ended up finding these 2 at Garden Fest this past February, and I think they're so cool. I found the brackets off of Amazon, and I'll post those links down below. So if you guys would like, they actually do swivel and turn. They're fantastic for bird feeders or pots like this. They really do support quite a bit of weight, so I was very impressed. So now we're going to get to the living wall. So the living wall, this was something that I did research from Amazon quite a bit. Your typical living wall is a felt liner living wall. It has little pockets in it. You attach it to a wood backing, and it's fabulous. It instantly looks good, instantly takes up every little nook and cranny and spot. However, I had the benefit of doing maintenance on that kind of living wall several years ago, and it was just so ooey and gooey, and it was only 2 years old, but the pockets had corrosion in them. There was all kinds of bugs and whatnot inside, and with these guys, you've got to actually lift and put your hands in these areas pretty often, so there's a lot of hand work that goes in here. And I know I'm a girl, and I just get all eked out, and when it's if frogs jump on me, or sometimes even lizards jump on me. So I love how this concept works. This is pretty much a metal paneled backing. These panels are 2 foot wide by 6 foot long, and I have 3 of them on this frame, and it's just pretty much an overall wood frame on posts, and we've got some frames supporting the middle. So I think he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 supportive frames in the back, and then we've just attached those 3 panels to it. Now there are a lot of panels on Amazon, so I will put the link down below of the panels that I chose, because these are industrial strength. They're not expensive, and they come in a pack of 3. So it was, and they have a black covering on them. So hopefully, and I'll be able to give you an update on that, they won't rust, and it'll hold and work out really well. But what I do like about them is they're tough and they're strong, and they were really able to support all of these baskets without any trouble, and I can see that they're gonna hold up in that way really, really well. And then I found these baskets. These are like resin baskets. They're really, really cool to work with. They pop right off. They come with the hooks. They have 3 holes in the back, and I'll see if Bryce can incorporate a picture of what they look like when they're empty, so you guys have a really good look of those. Okay, you guys, so these are the pots that I had mentioned. They are hooked to the wire backing and nice and solid. This is where we're going to put the misters through, so each pot will get a little bit of water as it goes through. We're just going to run the drip line along the top and feed it through those edges, and that way we can put this on a light cycle of maybe once a week watering. So, and you know, these pots are fantastic. I mean, you can even use them indoors. I don't have it set up this way, but there's a little false bottom in here, and then there's a wick that goes into these little holes here. So if you do decide that you want to do this indoors, you could put the plant in here, and the water would wick up through the bottom as all of the water sits on the bottom of the pot and keeps your plants nice and moisturized. But since we are going to do this outdoors, I am going to unplug those holes there and just use a drip line system. So while we're away or busy, that everything gets the appropriate amount of water. So I am going to start planting these guys up. They're going to be pretty young when I first start with them, but the whole goal is for them to drape over and cover the pots themselves, and they should do that in no time. I probably won't wait for the video to post for that to happen. I'll show you the video with it newly planted, and then I'll do an update in about 3 or 4 months, so that way you guys can see as everything really fully grows in. If you're wondering what these big guys are here, these are arm brackets that I found off of Amazon, and I am going to put some string lights going across the walkway, down the walkway area to light this space up. So this is my gate here, and then of course my walkway that leads from my driveway and front door area and goes all the way down. So I kind of want it lit up. Say hello to Olive, you guys. Say Olive, she's so sleepy. We just got back from a walk. This is our new addition to the family. Olive is going to hang out with us just like this on job sites. She's such a good girl. So we are new puppy owners. Lots of fun with that, especially you guys who have had a puppy recently know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start planting these guys up with my assistant here, and we'll get this rolling. But they have 3 holes in the back, 1 for the tubing for the water and 2 for the hooks themselves, and they just hook right onto any of the spots on the metal bracing back there. And what I really like about those is that when I have to do maintenance on this plant, I pop this plant off, I take it out, I put it on the bench, and then I clean up around the plant. Or if I've got to take one out, say one just didn't make it, didn't look good, I'm going to take him out and put another one in, and then that is just so easy to work with, and I don't have to worry about sticking my hands in places that I don't know what I'm dealing with in there, which is the only reason why I just did not like the pockets. And then the pockets on the sides, you can see so much white and corrosion. It just, with fertilizer, it just didn't hold up well. So we'll see what these do. These are supposed to be UV protected and do super well in the garden. So I will do a 3, a 6, and a year update on that. That way you guys get it all: the good, the bad, the ugly, what worked, what didn't, what don't waste your money on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this is a success, because this is something I want to incorporate in future client gardens. And I wouldn't do it with the felt liners, but this I might. And just because I don't like any hard edges in the garden, I ended up, just kind of softening this side, just like we have the aglaonemia on that side. We've got a little touch of just something that's going to kind of pop out and expand this corner a little bit. So first, down below, the skirt planting, would be the white begonia odorata. This is a perennial, and this guy, oh my gosh, blooms all winter long into spring, early summer. Loves the filtered light though, so north side of the house, it just does super, super well here. Loves extra moisture, so that's why I put him right near the fountain. And then I have another aglaonema there, and then I've got, now this is a cool leaf. This is a stingray alocasia, and look at this leaf, Bryce. This is just the coolest leaf. I just think it is so awesome. Obviously, I don't have to tell you why it is called stingray alocasia. So I don't know much about it. I purchased it from the garden center, the Garden Fest this past February. And it is, from what I could read, grows about 6 foot tall. It thickens out to about 4 times the size that it currently is. So it's going to kind of fold over the water feature to give it kind of a little bit of lushness there, and then hopefully go up the side of the wall here. But in my 3-month video, if it's 10 foot tall, you guys will see it, because Google has a way of telling you one thing, and So this is a test trial. I only bought one. I'm going to give it a go. If it works as well as they say it works, then I will be incorporating it in my future landscapes, because I just think to have a stingray in the garden, how cool is that? So it's going to be exciting. So right next to it is my basalt column water feature. So these are 3 triple columns that offer just a bubbling effect. And I think I mentioned that before. I've got water in the front yard. As soon as you come in, I have a koi pond. And then as we kind of trail around through, coming to the side yard, going into the backyard, I loved the idea of having water in this little space. There's not much I could have done in this space, I think, that would give you the same kind of impact that water does. And if you guys have toured those, those botanical gardens, or been through those resorts that have water just kind of speckled through the pathways, you hear it could be just like a little trickling fountain. It could be something super small, but there's just something that kind of you hear this sound of water, and then a little further down you hear a different kind of sound of water, maybe a deeper, darker sound of water, and then it just kind of it kind of pulls you through the garden. So I wanted that all the way around. So I have one in the front, I have this one here, I have one a little further down that we'll get to see, and then as soon as you get to the back, I have another pondless waterfall. So pondless, and 2 fountains, and I'm probably not done. I think water does bring your garden to life a little bit. So I try to incorporate it where I can. It just soothes me. I have the best job in the world, but even at the end of the day, I'm depleted with some energy. Grabbing a glass of wine, coming out here, walking through the garden, seeing what's blooming, what's doing well. Like something caught my eye over there, so we're going to go over there in a minute, Bryce. But seeing what's blooming and just what's happy in the garden, it just relieves me. It gives me that, I don't know, just gives me that anchor into this space. So I'm grateful for it, and I hope that comes across in these videos, because it's definitely, it's not so much a show and tell. It's more like, if this calls to you, then get your hands dirty, get in the ground, and really kind of create what you want to create for yourself. So I hope it comes across that way, because that is truly the way I mean it. But we'll kind of pan over here to this side before we go into the next space. This area is pretty much stayed the same, with a couple small additions. Obviously, the Obi Island palm has grown, you guys, from just a couple years ago when I posted the side yard video. It is just really taking off. It's a tender, small tree. It's got these great big fan leaves. They're a little bit more divided in this area, because believe it or not, we do get a good deal of wind here. But in more of a courtyard setting, they're probably a lot less divided, more whole. But I love the softness of these big wide leaves in comparison to like the arecas and other typical palm trees. So my goal is for this guy to, just kind of really reach over, and as you walk underneath, I just think that's so charming. The first tree that I did that with is the hurricane palm that you guys see up there, and it did, in the previous video, you probably saw more of it really coming right over top of you, kind of creating a roof over top of the side yard, and it's now well above us. And I'm going to answer this question real quick. because I've gotten this several times. How close can you plant palms to one another? And this is a great example, you guys. So this hurricane palm was planted first. This came, a year or so later. So this tree, I planted it at a good size. So I was able to plant it kind of real close to the Eureka palms because it's well above the Eureka palm planting. But then we've got this tree here that I know is going to grow so much slower. So you can really put these trees within 4 or 5 feet of each other and layer in. Just work your way in. Just make sure that the trees that are the closest to you within the garden are going to be the smaller trees. So whatever's further back is the tallest, and then you work your way and layer in, and that's just the way, that's the way to kind of create a wall of fronds. And then what that really offers, it allowed me to put things in here that really love shade, that really can handle a lot of coverage. So now I've got all of this area for tropicals, like my new addition, which are these triple sisters of blue tangos. I love those guys. I have a couple of them in my waterfall, and I just see that pop of blue color every time I look out there, and that is just so stunning. So don't they really? I mean, really, if I could fill my whole yard with those, I would. I just think they're absolutely stunners in the garden. They'll get a little bit bigger than what you see here, but they're not a big overall plant, so you really do have to carve out a little space for them. But they bloom like that. Those blooms will last almost 5 months, 4 or 5 months on that coloring, and then what they'll do is that plant, that mother plant, will die, but it'll provide you a pup in the meantime, and then that pup will bloom. So on the one in my waterfall, I'm about 4 pups in, so it seems like it's every time I turn around, it's always in bloom. So it's definitely worth a plant to have. But the blue tangos are a phenomenal pop of color in the garden. So yeah, I think everything else is pretty much here. Just it's all kind of grown in and thickened out. And so we will work our way further down. So another item that really stayed put that I will not move, I will keep probably forever, is my my lime tree. My lime tree, this beautiful girl, she produces like crazy. She is just a fantastic lime tree. Gin and tonics, mojitos, anything you want with lime, she produces. I can bring my basket out here and she's covered. So I absolutely will keep her in this space. It was kind of dicey determining if she was going to actually make it in this area. It is the one spot in the garden that is more open, so she does get more sun than just about everything else, and so I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to keep her kind of compact and maintained. So those of you guys who have lime trees or lemon trees, Myers lemon trees, you can keep them as small and compact as you like. This is the size that I hope she will be in 6 months, and a year, and 2 years, and 5 years, because I really do. I just like this look and this size. It's pretty much easy for me to get limes just about everywhere from this particular size. So lime tree stays put. Now, I have this Bacchus statue. She was on one of my wall water feature, and then she broke. So I put her in underneath the lime tree because, of course, Bacchus is a god of fertility and a god of wine. And I mean, I think the fertility was mainly due to the grapes, but I'm hoping it works the same for limes. But either way, it was a bare spot in the garden, and you guys know how I feel about bare spots in the garden. So I ended up putting her almost like a stepping stone kind of feature, and then I put some moss around her hair and just kind of gave her a little bit of, or gave him a little bit of charm. Him, not her, him. So, and then back here, I just pretty much did a nice grouping of Farfugium and Sanchesia. So those Sanchesia, don't pay too much mind to those. Those were brought in for a customer that I didn't actually tag myself at a nursery. They were brought in and they were just not up to par, so I couldn't use them at my client's home and had to get some other ones. So they were in our holding area, so I had to use them somewhere. So I know what they're going to do in the future. They'll be lovely, but right now I just need to cut them back and let them flush out. So they're going to fill in that back corner, give us a little bit of height and a little bit of color. And then right here, Bryce, that big stump that you see there, that is an old oak tree that we couldn't afford to stump grind it down because there were so many pipes and so much underneath of it that the tree guys really just didn't want to mess with it. So we ended up just keeping it in place, and it's been just kind of an ugly stump sitting there forever. It's now started to rot. So I was able to find a firm spot to put my pot on there, and then we kind of cut into the corners and incorporated the plants all around it. I've got some sedum, I put some moss in there, and then I've got on the corners I've got these silver odoratas, and these guys are going to get large. They're going to get right into this range, and they're kind of going to be kind of fountain fans around that, and then some aglaonema there. So they're going to be a nice little touch. And of course, my fountainhead statue. So it's so funny. This one was on a pedestal, but the pedestal broke a few years ago. And so I had to find a spot for her, and this is ended up being the perfect spot. And I've loved it ever since. We've got some bird's nest ferns dappled down below, and then some pots back through here. The only thing I'm missing, I do plan to put a pot of mint in the garden. I'm probably going to put it right around the tree itself, because mint and mojitos, and I'm really telling you guys a lot about myself right now, but yeah, so that's my future plans for that. And this has pretty much all stayed the same. So the Aracuri palm is right here, and it's kind of really fanning over just like as it should. And this is also a lot like the palm to the left of it, which is that we just talked about, the Obi Island palm. They're both slow growers, and they both really do take their time along a walkway. So you can put them right along the walkway. Unfortunately, you do have to keep these fronds trimmed, so that way they're not hitting you in the face. I mean, I personally don't mind walking around the fronds when you're in a garden, but my husband seems to not be a fan of that. So we trim it kind of upright, and it really has a nice arching branch. These Aracuri palms do. So Aracuris, they're also called Thailand palms, but they're a very cool kind of rustic palm that work really nice in the garden, that have a limb that goes up like this and then curls at the edges like you see here. So it's not such a palm that takes over a space. And then fire spikes. I just dappled 2 fire spikes in here, and they are the magenta coloring. I just love them. They are my hummingbird attractant. So now that we're coming into season, I'll take my little bell here down, and then I will put up the hummingbird feeder and into that spot, and hope to entice some hummingbirds to come along the side here that I get to enjoy. A couple more. We got our lady palm pot, our rhapis palm. It does really well. A little bit of a succulent dopper right here, because this is a spot that does get some sun. So I've got some agaves mixed in here who are reaching for that sun, so you can really see their personalities come out. So, but I just think they're cool. I love upright things in a soft garden. I just really think they bring your eye right to it. And we are talking about really small spaces, so you really do have to find interesting features, almost like people do statues. I think incorporating, statue heads and agaves and different types of stones and anything like that. I think that brings personality to a garden space. So right here we have 2 giant spindle palms. So these spindle palms are planted. They were about 6 foot when they were planted years and years and years ago. And they've really grown. They are full size now. They will not get any bigger. So if this is kind of the overall size of a tree that you're thinking about incorporating in your garden, then spindle palms, even though these feel like they're ginormous, they're really not for palm trees. They can really be up close along a walkway, because they're not going to outgrow the space. They're going to be the perfect roof line to any space, and I think that these are really starting to do that in the garden. I love how their canopy's exceeding and kind of coming up and over us. So they're very, very happy, and they're very, very cool double palms, and they're double matching palms, and they've grown about the same size overall. So they're pretty. It's hard to find 2 palms that are going to grow similar in size together. That one over there is a little bit smaller because of the shade that it gets from the oak tree and the surrounding neighbor's palms. So, but I really do like it. And then this is another area we decided to do a little bit of rock work. So we have some variations in stones. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. But we've got some crimson red stone. We've got some river jacks here. We've mixed it in with some Mexican beach pebbles here, and then we've got some Indian stone here. Oh, sure. So we've got some Mexican beach pebbles here underneath the fountain, and we've got some Indian creek stone here, and then we've got some river jacks in the bigger stone here, and then over to that left, Bryce's, that's red crimson. And then, of course, you guys know the stone that I love the most is the Tahitian gray granite, and that is on the left side where we just put our new additions on. So I love that coloring of stone. It holds together real well, perfect for walkways. And then we've got some Mexican beach pebble, the mini size, the real small kind over there by the fountain, the black. And I think that really sharpens that one little area right there. And just kind of outlined it with some river jacks. I feel like we're bouncing around. I hope we're not giving you guys whiplash. And then we had this fountain bottom left over. This was a part of an urn. There was a top to it, and we used the top in our pond in the front. So we ended up taking this bottom and cutting some slits in it and kind of making it more of a rain fountain here. And we put some basin. We have a 100-gallon basin down below like we have on the basalt columns. And I just think it does a nice job of giving us a sound of splash. This is a whole different sound than the sound over there by the basalt columns. So I just, again, I think that as you're walking through the garden, you hear that kind of bubbling sound over there with more of a slapping sound here. And then as you come around the corner to the waterfall, you hear that deep, deep sound of water falling into water. So I just love that. This back here was a lucky find on Facebook Marketplace. It's an aluminum tree, and I just loved how the roots and all that. I just love the look of it, and I had a blank wall there, so bringing that in and making that the backing to the water feature, I think really just polished the whole area up. I do plan to do a little bit of a rock wall around the base. We haven't gotten to that yet of the water feature. And then that pretty much finishes us off. I probably will see you in a few months to do an updated tour on the wall. I'll list the plants within the wall next time. I didn't do that this time because I don't really know what's going to work well and what's going to do, what's worth the money and what isn't on that wall yet. And so if you guys are thinking about doing it, and maybe if you can, wait for the tours, because like I said, I will tell you honest, reliable info on how mine has done and what not to waste your money on and what to incorporate and how well things are doing, because I really hope this wall works out. It's not much that I could do with that particular spot that would give me lush, thick planting and not be able to go back, allowing me to go vertical. And if that's the case, I can think of tons of places that I could have used that within my clients' gardens that wanted that lush feel, but they just didn't have the space to work with it. I feel like I have an ace in my pocket now that I can share with them and we can create for them. And speaking of that, if you guys are looking to have this recreated in your own space, this is exactly what we do. We come out, we demo and remove and clean up your existing landscape, keep what you want to keep, take out what you never want to see again, and then we purchase material in. I do all the purchasing, tagging material, bring it to your home and re-landscape it with soil prep, new installation with our in-house installation team. It is not a subcontractor situation in any kind of form. These are guys that I worked with for many, many, many years, and we all work well together. So my husband and I oversee the installation, and we do that week after week after week throughout our area. We're here in Vero Beach, but we service areas from the as far north as Satellite Beach, Cocoa Beach area, and we go all the way down the coast into Sebastian, Vero Beach, Stewart, all the way down to Jupiter. And we'd be very, very happy to meet with you and look at your yard, walk together, and see what we can create in your space. I'll link our website down below, so it'll tell you more details about our services and what we offer. And give us a call. I'd be happy to meet with you and talk with you about your garden. So I think that's about it, you guys. I hope you like the side yard tour. I hope it, kind of gave you some inspiration to get out in your garden and maybe try some of these, few plants here and there that could work in your space. Speaking of trying plants out, we did start a new series called Plant of the Week. And that Plant of the Week is not only plants, we're going to feature plants and trees. I'm going to start with plants and trees within my own garden that I absolutely love. Tried, true, tough plants that, just can survive our element, can survive all the microclimates that we have here in Vero Beach and along the areas that I work. Things that I've used in tons and tons of gardens through the Treasure and Space Coast that I know that I can rely on to actually live and be strong and sturdy and handle pest situation, handle our rains and whatnot. So I will in that video I kind of just give you the characteristics of the plant, how to care for it, when to fertilize it, what to fertilize it with, and then just generally overall maintenance and some companion plant ideas. Like this plant will go well with this plant grouping and so on, just to kind of really give you kind of a head start on that particular material. I get those questions all the time, so Bryce and I just started a series, and I hope that you guys find it helpful. So yeah, I think I filled everything in that I fit everything into this video that I wanted to. If there's anything I missed, there's tons of plants here, and then please just put the timestamp down below and let me know, and I can answer the question about whatever particular plant or tree that I may have missed. Other than that, comment True Gardener, you guys, because I don't know how long this video is. I feel like I've been talking a long time, and so if you watch the whole video, then you are a true gardener like me, and I look forward to seeing you guys in every video. And I hope you see my videos pop up and say I should grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and just kind of hang out with Jen, and we're just going to talk plants and trees, and you get some inspiration from it. So, but yeah, check us out on Instagram. I know Bryce was getting ready to remind me of that. Check us out on Instagram. Yes, and don't forget to like and subscribe. That's what I always forget. I will see you guys in the very next video, and you guys have a great and lovely day.
Woo! Good job, Mom.
Thank you, babe.